For the same capacity twin path sling, rated at 50,000 pounds vertical, the twin path is 5 inches wide, where the Helix is just over 1.5 inches wide.
If you're in the heavy lift industry, then you know Slingmax. Slingmax slings are lightweight and have been used for some of the heaviest lifts out there. But a common complaint is that a twin path sling is just too wide for some pick points. Well, not anymore. Introducing the Helix, a high-performance round sling designed for narrow lift points.
I'm Greg D'Elia. I'm the Vice President of Engineering Quality for Slingmax Rigging Solutions. So the Helix Sling is an all-new synthetic fiber high-performance round sling from Slingmax. It's different from your typical round sling in several ways, mostly because of the braided HMP cover. It conforms to the diameter of the sling, allowing for a much more compact profile, which lets the sling fit into areas where your typical round sling won't fit. It uses the same K-Spec high-performance core yarn that Slingmax has been using for decades, and it's exclusive to the Slingmax authorized dealers. The Helix Sling was created because of a call from the users to have a sling that could fit into more narrow lifting points. A lot of times there are trunnions built into an object that were designed for a wire rope, which is much smaller in diameter. The Helix, it can directly fit into those more narrow fittings. You can see here we have 50,000 pound rated capacity slings. These are only about 1.5 inches in diameter. When you look at the twin path sling, that's 5 inches wide. So it's just a lot easier to fit into smaller areas. You can see up here, we had to actually daisy chain a second shackle in order to fit both twin paths into the lifting point. If you were to just jam those slings in that shackle, you'd have a possibility of cover-on-cover abrasion where you could have tears in the sling. With the Helix, we were able to eliminate the extra hardware, and this saves time, complexity. You just don't have to have as many shackles, hooks, master rings, etc. The outer cover is a braided HMPE high-performance cover, so it's going to be very abrasion resistant, will glide over hardware so you don't have snags and things like that. And since it is braided rather than woven, it'll actually constrict to meet the diameter of the core yarn underneath. There's a great deal of flexibility for custom solutions. These slings are equipped with our spider sleeve abrasion protection. You can also make an eye and eye sling where there's an eye on each end of it with a jacket protecting the center. You can add maxi jacket coating to protect from abrasion. Sometimes a customer will want 2 or 4 of the Helix slings inside a master link. They can be made directly in that master link right at manufacturing, so it's integrated in the hardware right from the start. One of the other features is the rifle cover technology. The interaction between the K-Spec core yarn and the rifle cover imparts a twist that evens out the load sharing, giving about 17% more strength and much more consistent brake results. And that's a patented feature on both the Helix Sling and the twin path sling. You can use it in all the normal sling configurations that you're used to. Vertical, choker, basket. It's the same exact way that you would rig any other round sling. All the existing Slingmax dealers, like Mazzella, can make the Helix Sling on their existing round sling machine that they have in place. With very short notice, they can make a Helix Sling to any length and capacity that you need for your job. You have a crane that's sitting there that's costing you thousands of dollars a day, you need new rigging, call your Slingmax dealer and they can get you Helix Sling. So you don't have the same D2D concerns that you would have with a rope sling. You can use a Helix Sling with comparable rated fittings, and if you don't have a rating, you can use it down to a 1-to-1 D2D. If you look at other types of rigging, like say wire rope, synthetic rope, you have to have a much larger D over D. You might have to use wide body shackles, things like that. Now it has some advantages compared to your typical rope sling. On a rope sling, you need to actually splice the sling back on itself to make an endless sling or splice eyes into it. Those splices require a minimum length. So a lot of times they have to get a sling that's much longer than what they actually want. We can make a Helix Sling as short as you want down to about 3 feet, or as long as you want. You're not constricted by the requirements of splicing. When you look at your typical synthetic rope sling, there is no outer cover. The actual load-bearing core yarns are exposed to the elements. As soon as you start getting any kind of abrasion or damage on the outside, you're taking away from load-bearing core yarn. In the Helix Sling, this outer cover does not contribute to the strength of the sling. All of the load-bearing core yarns are protected underneath. So if you have abrasion on the outside, you're not taking away from the strength of the sling. It's 1/10 of the weight of steel. As soon as you start getting into larger capacities, the steel rigging can be very prohibitive to carry around. A lot of times you'll actually need to lift the rigging with, say, a forklift or a smaller hoist just to get it in place. With the Helix Sling, you can easily just throw it over your shoulder, bring it to the job site. It's much easier on your body, on your back. You're not picking up really heavy rigging. Really, a web sling is kind of a throwaway item. As soon as there's any kind of abrasion or cutting into the outside of it, you're losing a lot of strength right away. The Helix, you have an outer jacket that's not contributing to the break strength of the rigging, so you have that opportunity to inspect it, protect it before you lose any kind of strength. Web slings, polyester round slings, they stretch a lot more. The Helix will stretch less than 1% under load, similar to steel rigging. So the only disadvantages of the Helix slings compared to twin pass sling, one, repairability. Since it is a braided jacket, we don't really have any area to be able to sew on a patch. If you do cut the cover, it's very likely that that's it for that sling. We do have a number of protections that you can add to the sling to help avoid any kind of damage. The twin pass slings also have the check fast inspection system where the Helix does not. So on a twin pass sling, if your sling is severely overloaded, the check fast inspection system will let you know. That is not a feature that's available on the Helix Sling. The Helix is available in a maximum vertical capacity of 200,000 pounds. However, we're constantly working on pushing the envelope and getting the slings to be larger capacities. As part of our engineering system, we have to make sure that we do real-world break tests before we release it to the public. So stay tuned for even larger Helix slings in the near future. Typical to other types of synthetic rigging, you want to use fittings that don't have any kind of sharp edges on them. If you are rigging over an edge, you always want to use approved engineered cut protection, like the CornerMax pad or CornerMax sleeve. You never want to drag slings on the ground, pull them out from under a load. The Helix Sling should be inspected daily before use. Do a once-over, hand-over-hand inspection. You want to make sure there's no tears or cuts in the jacket, any kind of heat damage, chemical damage. The industries that would really benefit from this are things like power generation. A lot of turbines are designed with constricted lifting points, construction, if they want to simplify their rigging plan to eliminate some larger shackles. In a marine application, it's neutrally buoyant, so it's not gonna sink like wire rope would, and it's completely unaffected by seawater. And manufacturing, doing repetitive rigging, you want to keep things as simple and light as possible. Some bad applications would be high temperature environments above like 180 degrees Fahrenheit. In those situations, the synthetic core yarn will lose strength. If you can't avoid dragging the sling across really rough surfaces, you're gonna have abrasion wear that's gonna affect the sling. The Helix Sling is a little bit less expensive than the twin pass sling, but it is gonna be more expensive than your typical nylon steel type rigging. If you take care of the Helix Sling, it's gonna give you years of use. It's not gonna be, a short-term throwaway item. If you protect it from abrasion and cutting, then you can really use these slings for a very long time. And in the long run, it's gonna be less expensive. People can order Helix Slings from Mazzella, which is a Slingmax authorized dealer. Tell them the capacity and length you want, any kind of special configurations, and they can make a sling that's right for your application. Really, the Helix Sling has been a product that I've been the most excited about in several years. The customers were saying to us, hey, we love twin pass slings, but sometimes it's just too wide for the space that we have available. We listened to them and we said, hey, let's see what we can do to get the slings more narrow for the same capacity, and the customers have really liked it.
If you're looking for the lightweight ease of use that comes with Slingmax slings, as well as the durability, quality, and reputation, but you have an application that requires a narrow profile, then the Helix might be the sling for you. Mazzella is a Slingmax certified manufacturer who can help you determine the right sling for your application. Whatever your lifting needs, Mazzella is here to help. From slings, rigging hardware, wire rope, overhead cranes, lifting devices, inspection, service, and training, we are your one-stop lifting shop. If you found this video useful, informative, entertaining, or you just feel like being friendly, then hit that like button so we can get this information out to everyone who needs it. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a video. If you have a question, drop it in the comments so we can get you an answer. Remember, safe rigging is smart rigging. My name is Ben. Stay safe out there.